Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Greet the Week. I am Mona Duncan, and I'm alone today, except for those of you that will be joining, either now or later. And Jan Moray and her husband are on vacation this week and next week, and I miss her, and we'll be back, I'm sure, with some good input and some telling of the adventures. Anyway, I decided to go ahead and work with this. In the past, I have had an office and a place where I could invite people to come and do a teaching every week. And I'm thinking about doing that again by video. And so if you would give me some input on this, I would appreciate it. What I want to do is just do a little teaching, and then as you join, we can have some discussion. And then, so today we're talking about obstacles, and who does not have obstacles in our life. And let me share here with you. We're looking at obstacles, and we want to lean into them. And what does it mean to lean into? You know, what is an obstacle? An obstacle is something that's in our way, or at least we perceive it to be in our way. And do these obstacles have any redeeming values? Well, they can either tear us down or they could build us up. So although I want to be giving some suggestions as how we can lean into those obstacles and make them work for us, and here is 8. I will just put it out, and then we will discuss it a little bit one-on-one. One thing is to look at the dance of nature versus nurture, and how we can expand it or we can dilute it depending on what we need to do with it. And how saying yes or no. Sometimes we need to say yes, sometimes no. But whenever we do, to feel good about it, or if we don't feel good about it, to be able to take corrective measure. And taming that taunting critic. And who is that biggest critic in our life? Well, quite often it is us. Whether it is that overinflated ego of we can do more than we can do, or whether it is that low esteem that's saying, who do you think you are? Point number 4 in overcoming obstacles is to accept what is. It is what it is. So what? Now what? What are we going to do about it? How can we live in the present? And then also in looking at finding beauty in balance of doing enough, but not too much. And point number 6 is that the fidelity of the original will remain. That think ugly duckling. And nothing is lost in the process of changing from the not yet there to the becoming who you were intended to be. Point number 7 is that you're doing it for you, yes, but also do it for the whole world. You know, that commonality. Carl Jung said that you know, the collected unconscious. And as you do it for you, you're also doing it for all of humanity. And then how meditating, thinking about, looking at, projecting, turning that potential into power. So, coming back to where we are now. So one thing we're going to look at in overcoming those obstacles is the dance of nature versus nurture. Now, we come into this world, we are a combination of 8, 10, 12 generations back of maternal and paternal coming together to make us who we are. The thing of it is although our DNA is very, very important, it really is just a suggestion. And knowing humanity as a whole, all of us have some saints and some sinners on each side, as well as the fact that we have a lot of really good people. And that sometimes we look at maybe thinking that something external can fix something that's troubling us internally. And we have more control over that DNA than we give ourselves credit for, because we have been given this wonderful gift, which is also a dangerous gift, and that is the gift of a free will, that we can make our choices. We can choose attitudes, we can choose outcomes, we can choose to say yes, we can choose to say no. And that DNA is a strength for us. Vince Lombardi is credited as having saying potential means you ain't done it yet. So we may have those skills within us, but we haven't perfected them yet. And so it is looking at what may seem to be an obstacle and how can I overcome it? How can I use what I do have? And how can I say yes or no that would be for the good of the whole and to feel good about the outcome? We cannot give out of an empty basket. And we need some experience. We need some things that's going to tell us, yeah, you can do that, or no, you're not yet at the point of being capable of doing that. We always want to say yes to something or no to something for the right reason. And some of those things may be to think about, is it something that you really, really want, something that you really love, something that would add to, because everything has a payoff. Everything has a trade-off. And sometimes we say yes to something that would really give us a big payoff and turns out to have not been that effective. I remember one time was at a Toastmasters meeting, and we needed to have nominations for the incoming year. And one of the people leaned over to one of the gentlemen there and says, "May I nominate you to serve as our incoming president, the president-elect?" And the person said, "No, I can't do that." And so the person that asked him graciously accepted his no and turned to someone else and said, "Joe Blow, would you accept the nomination of being serving as our incoming president-elect?" And he answered, "Yeah, sure, I'd be glad to." Well, after the meeting was over with, the person that was originally asked came up to me and says, "I can't believe I said no." He said, "I can certainly do better than Joe Blow." The thing of it is that sometimes if we say yes and we really mean no, or if we say no and we really mean yes, find that grace and that humility to make an extension, or to put it in the back of your mind that, the next time I have that opportunity, I'm going to either step up to it or I'm going to take the courage of stepping down to it. And learning to self-evaluate. What is the worst case scenario of saying yes or no? And so the third point that I wanted us to look at for just a few minutes is taming that taunting critic. And who is that taunting critic? Is it self? Is it self? Do we self-sabotage? Do we beat ourselves up? And the thing of it is if you do, what advantage is it? Just being beaten down and not having the energy or the creative ideas to overcome. So it is realizing that, you're all you have. Yes, there are others and they're there for us, but the bottom line is we make or break our successes in life. And we overcome those obstacles, or we submit to them, or we let them get us down. And we have to look and see what our wisdom heart is telling us, sometimes opposed to our mind or past circumstances. And accepting what is. It is what it is. It's living in the present. It is, I like to use the example of, just suppose that something happened, that you went home today and your home was in shambles. It had been a nice home when you left this morning to go to work, but when you went home today, it wasn't burned. It was just in shambles. It was just a wreck. And what in the world happened? What happened? What happened? Was it lightning that came out of nowhere and struck it to the ground? Was it a wrecking ball that had the wrong address that came and knocked your house down? Was it something, spontaneous combustion that's caused an explosion? There are all kinds of things, that possibilities, and mysterious, yes. But even if we know the why, that doesn't change the what. And we can take those whys and we can make them into sorrows and speculations and angers. Whenever we look at what it is what it is. And now, what am I going to do about it? What can I do about it? What attitude can I have? What resources are available? What can be done about it? Because the very next thing that we do will be the one that is the most important, the very next step. And finding a beauty and balance. That sometimes we'll say yes to things and, oh, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. And all of a sudden it's, oh, whoa, I can't do that. I've taken on too much. So find that beauty of balance of what we can do physically, you know, eating well, sleeping well, having enough intake. Emotional balance. You know, what is good for us, for our spiritual balance, which will making some quiet time to really think through. And then that mental balance thing that's going to keep you sharp and ready to be a part. Point number 6 is the fidelity of the original fidelity will remain. Whether it is that cute kitten, cute and cuddly and lovable, that turns into a monster, or the puppy, cute and cuddly, that turns into a monster, or whether it is the ugly duckling that initially is kind of non-graceful, that turns into that beautiful swan. I like to, in my coaching career working with people, I like to ask, what did you want to do as a child? What was your goals? What was your dreams? Well, for me personally, I wanted to be a nurse, and I also wanted to be Annie Oakley. Well, am I a nurse? No, I'm not. I am a career coach and a public speaker. I call myself a motivational speaker because if I say I can't, now the bottom line is I can't motivate anyone to do anything. But if I say something that motivates you, it's because it was already there. So am I a healer? Yeah, I am. I'm in the healing industry, in that I'm helping people to see the potential of who they truly are and growing into that and realizing that that original dream and idea that was there, it hasn't gone away. And the fidelity of it is true. And I also wanted to be Annie Oakley, you know, that sharpshooter, rounding up outlaws. Do I do that? Well, maybe, kind of, sort of. In working with the down and out, and working with the pre-released federal prisoners, and working with people that have said, I can't make it, and realizing, yeah, you can. Because the fidelity of the original is still there. The person that can overcome, the person that has a can-do spirit, the person that knows right from wrong deep down inside, that even they have said yes to wrongs and no to rights, the fidelity is still there, and it can be followed through. Point number 11 is that you are doing it for you and for the world. The powerful influence of the individual. You know, it has been, well, there's a saying that those that rock the cradle is the ones that rock the world. And it's true. So is home. Whatever happens at home is what happens in the world. And, you know, what a parent says and or does with their children and how they behave with them is not always heard or seen by the world, but it is heard by posterity, because we influence others, whether it is in the job, whether it is in the community, whether it is in the home. We are major influencers. And what kind of an influence are we giving? I'm sorry, I do not remember the name of the person that was being interviewed, but she was talking, she was the first female that was the executive producer of Paramount Studios. And she was talking about as a child with her mother, and well, her father was volatile. And whenever he was saying, and her mother would kind of listen to what he was saying, and then she would make the comment, she would say that, well, he is really trying to express what his emotions are, what his feelings are. And the daughter began to realize that, even though if someone is super weepy or is volatile, or what, they're really just trying to express what their emotions are, what their feelings are. And so as she was in the way of becoming a mover and a shaker, whenever the other people would put her down or would be volatile with it, she would think to herself, well, they're just expressing their true feelings. And as we can begin to realize that in expressing our true feelings, we are influencing others. We are making major influences on others. Which takes us to the 8th point of overcoming obstacles or leaning into them. And that is through thinking about. Meditate or medicate. Because, we have that pleasure-pain syndrome. We want as much happiness and success as we can have while trying to avoid as much pain and failure. And so if we want to medicate, give me something to make me feel better. Or we want some kind of a medication, something that'll make us feel better, whether it's ice cream or something that gives us a buzz, or something that will just help us to zombie out, like losing ourselves in a TV program or a movie. Not that I'm not condemning it. I'm saying that sometimes we need something to take our mind off of what is the overwhelming emotions of the moment. And so as we begin to meditate, to really begin to think about, Carl Jung talked about the collective unconscious. Where does that collective unconscious come from? Maybe it comes from the thoughts that we think, and we pass them on unknowingly. That's why whenever I'm thinking, some of the things that I have thought is in hospitality, wanting everything to be a good, gracious host, and wanting things to be really nice and very pretty and all of that. And the day that it dawned on me that, having radish rosettes is not all that important. Just fix the radishes as they be and au naturel, and enjoy the company. It's through meditation that I begin to realize that not all of my needs have gone unmet. Now some have, but a whole lot have not. And that as I don't focus on what hasn't gone met, the more I can appreciate what has. It was through meditation that I began to realize that children grow up. Not only our children, but we. And maybe it's time to outgrow childish behaviors, childish attitudes, childish ways, and to become that our joys and our frustrations, that they're a mixed lot, that they are, in the multitude of counselors that we gain wisdom. Well, sometimes that multitude of counselors that come to us is those obstacles. Sometimes it's those benefits. Sometimes it's the joys. Sometimes it's the frustrations. And as we think about it, not looking at just the surface, but looking at what is the calm, or what is the trash that's below that surface, and maybe roiling it up so that we can skim off what needs to be skimmed off and let settle what needs to be settled. And learning to relate better with self and with others. I learned that through meditating, through just thinking about it, and looking at it from all sides possible, and being thankful for what you get, and maybe that there's more truth to it than we want to accept it initially. And then finding the fact that there is what is the real meaning of life, that we are spiritual beings, and that we can overcome obstacles through realizing that there is love, and that there is something to life. I mean, we didn't create ourselves. The mystery of life. We didn't create ourselves. We are loved, and we are loving, and we can't earn it, and we can't lose it. I mean, it's just breath was given to us, and breath will be taken away from us at some point in life. And it's through meditating, it's through thinking about those things that we can that we can come to terms with them and realize that there are things in life. So I want to share one last thought, which is a poem that I've written. And it's a progressive blessing that it's an ongoing thing. So may you awaken each morning filled with excitement over a new day. May you eagerly taste the delicacies of life. May you revel in challenges presented in humbly triumph. May heaven shower you with love, joy, mercy, compassion, and faith to overflowing. May you be overcome by the awe of a sacred moment. May you embrace change and see it as the life-giving force that it is. May you be healed of poverty, lack, intimidation, or anything that keeps you bound. May you be released from unforgiveness, anxiety, or whatever that may be keeping you stuck. May you allow God to love you and to bless you. May you receive the gift of yourself. May you be free from fear, doubt, scarcity, and be empowered to risk being successful and to overcome those obstacles. May you be encompassed by peace in the midst of turbulence. May your last thought of the day be one of a profound yet a simple thanks. And may you experience restful sleep and pleasant dreams. And thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for who you are. And may you have a great rest of the week.